to the defense. So look at the CBS Sports All-America defensive line. Man, no surprise to see Jonathan Allen on the first team. Also on the board, Tennessee's Derek Barnett, Clemson's Carlos Watkins, and how about the true freshman at Houston, Ed Oliver. Let's start with Allen. Top 10 in Heisman voting, anchoring that star-studded Alabama defense. Randy,
What do you want this guy to do? It's got to be something every week when they game plan defensively. Well, we want him inside, pressing the pocket and breaking through for sacks, or we want him coming off the end. He multitasks as a defensive lineman, and I think he is such a, technician at this age. Yeah. And has an unbelievable ability to be disruptive from multiple positions.
He's disruptive in both the run and pass games. You hit the nail on the head. He came back last year. He had the chance to go, but he wanted to refine that technique. Well, it is all over the tape, particularly with his hands. He can be savvy with them and work a wide variety of pass rush moves, or he can go Neanderthal on you and do what he needs to do. I think on the next level, he's going to be an inside disruptive 3 technique. Yeah. He's only 6'3". I don't think he has the long arms to be a necessary effective elite pass rusher on the outside on the next level, but there's little to no assembly required for this guy. He had a tremendous year, was unblockable for most of the season, and I think he's going to very well deserving of his All-America honor.
He didn't even want to be a defensive end. He didn't even know how to get into a 3-point stance in high school when they first asked him to, but he's come a long way.
He figured it out.
Yeah, yep. And they can't figure him out. Staying in the SEC, Derek Barnett, 12 sacks, led the conference, and one of the only studs from BJ's pick to win the national championship that didn't get lost to injury, man.
I have an out. Everyone got hurt. You're right.
Everyone.
That defensive side of the ball was decimated, and yet this guy showed up and showed out each and every weekend. I love his get-off, his quickness. You talking about dipping that shoulder and getting underneath those big old offensive tackles. He has that ability, and he can use a power rush as well. And what really stood out to me about Derek Barnett is he showed up in the big moments.
Yep,
I mean, when it was getting hot and heavy in there and they needed someone to make a play, he was the guy making those plays, and it may have been multiple plays. He was just a joy to watch.
And maybe that's the contrast with this next guy, because Myles Garrett, he could put a highlight reel together, no problem, but there were times that he was dinged up a little bit in that Arkansas game for sure. Houston, you had him as on your first team.
I did. I think he's so explosive, but you hit it. He was dinged up. He was hurt. This defense played a lot of snaps this year. They played 974 snaps, and so that takes a toll, especially he's a forehand guy. What I mean by that, there's 4 hands usually coming after this guy because he's so disruptive. This guy, this team averaged about 80 snaps, but look at what he does. This guy is so disruptive. He had about 15 sacks this year, but eight sacks this year, but this guy constantly created a problem for the offensive coordinator because you better put 4 hands on this guy.
And Dan Skipper created a problem for him by hitting him from behind earlier in the season when A&M took on Arkansas. So he was hampered somewhat.
Yeah.
He was.
Skipper had been waiting for that game to come back around, too. So he just missed being on the first team. Clemson's defense, they reloaded again. Defensive tackle Carlos Watkins, a stabilizing force on that team. And, yeah, he's a first-teamer. What's up?
Shaq Lawson, Kevin Dodd, we don't need those guys. We got Carlos Watkins. Man, this dude is physical. That's what you notice about him when he comes off the football. He's 6'3", about 300 pounds. Tremendous upper body strength, the ability to shock and shed the blocker. That means to stand him up, to play with good hand leverage, throw him away, and then shimmy down the line and tackle the ball carriers who are a lot more athletic than him. Now, one of the things I notice is pad level. As the game goes on, starts to rise, he gets a little bit tired, plays a little bit high. But in short bursts, and for most of the game, if he stayed fresh, he was very, very disruptive inside, and I think very deserving of an All-American title.
His teammate Christian Wilkins probably going to be a first-teamer before he's done, by the way,
sure.
on this show. But didn't take long for Ed Oliver to make an impact. Only true freshman on the first team, and what a difference he was able to make this year, huh?
Yeah, I mean, seeing him on tape is one thing because he's disruptive every single play. And the strange thing is he's a freshman. You think about it, literally a freshman. This kid was in high school last year, and every play, especially inside, he was amazing with his quickness.
That's it, the quickness, that get off. And I love that from seeing that from defensive linemen, that get off and anticipating that snap, getting into that would-be blocker. But what stands out is he had 61 tackles, and the guy had 9 pass breakups. So if he wasn't getting to the quarterback, he was at least getting his hands up and still being disruptive.
I love that a freshman, you talking about the lights not being too bright? It wasn't too bright for him as a true freshman.
Yeah.
Couldn't block him.
Remember back in the day, Rich Glover?
Yes.
Nebraska nose tackle.
Yes.
That's the kind of player this kid will be by the time he leaves Houston. He'll be at that level.
He's raw. When
yeah.
you see him, he's not a real refined player, but to your point, we've been using the word disruptive a lot. He's got the ugliest stance I might have ever seen, but he keeps his pad level low, he gets vertical, and he's got a motor. To me, he's productive and disruptive. I think he's going to be a better version than we saw with Robert Knight.
Oh, yeah.
Rose to the occasion in the big games that they had.
Dominican Sue at Nebraska.
Yep.
Get
I
on
wouldn't
that
go
level.
that far now, but he's going to be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a freshman.
The stratosphere. Yeah.
Freshman.
Freshman.
He might grow up.
The
Sue should have won the Heisman.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Indeed.